Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a video on my thoughts on the Series 12 Doctor Who trailer. Wow, okay, that's a thing. I've watched it what feels like half a dozen times now already. I'm just trying to sort of fully process it and digest it and that. I think honestly, obviously, if you're really wanting a super in-depth sort of trailer breakdown and or analysis, please do check out the awesome Doctor Who YouTubers, the Who Addicts and Ace Creeper, or Ace Creeper and the Who Addicts, maybe even Crispy Pro, and an Australian dude, and that. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of throw my 2 cents into the mix about what I thought of this trailer. And that, but as I said, there's a lot to unpack. I think it's only like a minute or two trailer, which is fine for the length of the trailer. I did also today, just before recording, watch it, obviously, but also watch the Series 11 one. And I was thinking as well, please do comment below if you'd ever be interested in me doing a comparison video on the strengths and weaknesses of Series 11 trailer and Series 12 trailer and that. But yeah, I mean, visual effects wise, just marvellous. I like, one thing I will say off the top of my head, I really do like the music in this one a lot more. Like, I couldn't stand the music in the Series 12, Series 11 trailer. I do really like it here though. It's really catchy, it's subtle, but it's also kind of like an earworm, I think, which is quite clever. And yeah, like, it's funny, I watched and or we had to review and or watch and then do a written review thing at Specialist Autism Service, the place that I go to, about a Doctor Who episode, because I obviously brought in a Doctor Who episode. And the funny thing was, it was Empty Child Doctor Dances, and that episode is set in 1942, I want to say. But I said 1943 because I've heard that date so much now because of this trailer, because she says Paris, or Paris, France, 1943, you know, and it's like, oh shit, that's the war, you know, and that brilliant, gorgeous shot of like, the what's it called now? The place, I'm blanking on what it's called, but Eiffel Tower. Yeah, I want to say it's called the Eiffel Tower, but I could be completely wrong. But the iconic sort of place in France. You get the point. What is interesting though is that the trailer starts in this like sort of vineyard sort of place, like it's part of this like sort of organisation. Maybe they're trying to like sort of breach and or go to and or investigate, although it's quite a bit odd if they are going to investigate why they just go in the front doorway. Although to be fair, even if the Doctor did try and do something more discreet, it'd probably blow up in her face. So they're all in tuxedos and they look really cool. Jodie looks really cool with a bow tie and a tuxedo. Love that. Love her being like, it's the Doctor. I'm the Doctor. It's, you know, Doctor sort of thing, you know, instead of, it kind of being like, the name's Bond, James Bond sort of thing. She says something reminiscent to that, like, it's Doctor, I'm the Doctor, you know, sort of thing. She has like a little quip like that I'm completely butchering right now. From that sort of same sort of location or locale, there's a bit later in the trailer where Lenny Henry seems to be like sort of peering out of a car with a gun, shooting at the Doctor and team on bikes, on like motorbikes, which oddly enough gives me sort of very, well, not oddly enough actually, it gives me very Jumper Twee-esque vibes, you know. Anything James Bond-esque in Doctor Who reminds me of the Jumper Twee years, and that, you know, because he was that James Bond-esque Doctor. So I love that scene though where they're in the floorboards, which kind of reminded me of It Takes You Away, but the floorboards, and there's someone there, and then it's the Doctor, and she's like, I'm not where I wanted to be, but I can work with this. I think that's just, it's oddly such a Doctor line in so much as, like, I get the feeling that, you know, maybe at least 50% of the time when the Doctor's been on an adventure, or, well, not even been on an adventure, but got into a situation that's, you know, part 3 of a 6-part serial in the old show, or even a 2-parter, the second half of a 2-parter in the new show. Let's be honest, it's probably not where the Doctor wanted or envisaged and or saw the situation going into, but he has to just make do with said scenario. And I think that, again, that line sort of just, you know, encompasses, you know, a lot of, like, that's what Doctor Who's about. It's about, you know, when your back's against the wall, when you're in sort of a sticky situation, you know, you've just got to sort of charge on through. There's another shot of, like, this great mesh thing, and then this, like, sort of white sort of screen thing, and then this monster that just goes whoosh, and makes this, like, almost, like, very frightening shockwavy sort of like smashed glass sort of thing. At first I thought it was a Weevil. I know Crispy Pro said that in his video, and I do think it would be cool if it was, because that would be like a nod to Torchwood, which Chris Chibnall very much did a lot on and or was a big part of. Also, it'd be a cool reference to Torchwood, but even if you haven't seen any of Torchwood, it'd be a brand new monster for, you know, those people, but a recurring monster for people who knew what it was. So you'd be appeasing both demographics that are now currently watching Doctor Who, which are the new people who probably started with Series 11, and the old folk like myself who have been watching maybe since 2005, or, you know, 2010, or maybe even more recently, 2014, you know, or do you know what I mean? Or even further back, you know, the Colin Baker stuff, or the Tom Baker stuff, I don't know. But yeah, so there was a bit where Jodie had goggles on, which looked very reminiscent of the ones she wore in that shot, and or early on in, or later on in The Woman Who Fell to Earth, in the sort of part where she was making the screwdriver. I honestly really like her wearing goggles, and I don't know why. I like her wearing goggles, and I like her in a tux. Don't know why. Don't even ask me why. Very strange, I know. Even though the stuff in the vineyard and that all seems to be with them wearing tuxedos, the stuff in Paris also seems like she's in the tuxedo, so I'm thinking maybe they have to, there's time travel elements in there, which would be cool, because I felt like in a lot of Series 11 we sort of just had one theme for a story, and that's about it, like one core idea, maybe one or two subplots at most, but one idea, that's it, and it was very much from point A to point B. I kind of am missing the more complex sort of storylines myself, and so it would be cool if there was a bit more sort of oomph, a bit more variety, a bit more pace, a bit more sort of jumping around a bit with time and that. Not every episode, but just every other episode, do you know what I mean? Like, have a nice mixture of some of the stronger episodes from Series 11 and these newer episodes that might be more, for lack of a better term, evocative of the Moffat era or Russell's era. Talking about Russell's era, there's a Judoon in this. We knew about the Judoon coming back from those photos we saw what feels like a lifetime ago now. This one's got its helmet on and it's like, Ro, Joe, Flo, Joe, blah, 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 or whatever. And then Graham and Yaz, almost said Ryan there, Yaz are like, what? Which might actually be from a different sort of episode, we don't know. But it would be cool if it was from that one. There's also a creature that myself and everyone else keeps saying is Emperor Arachnos. I'm thinking it's maybe a sister species of the Emperor Arachnos, which would be cool, you know, sort of a spiritual successor almost to that episode, you know, The Runaway Bride, and that, which would be really cool. I love when she has that, like, big sort of flashlight thing, you know, and she's like, so have you seen anything weird? And then it's like cuts really quickly to like the TARDIS in the time vortex, and then it's like and that, and then it's also got this beautiful shot, absolutely gorgeous shot of like this massive dome and then this little like moon rover thing, like sort of van thing, just zhuzhing about and or sort of moving about outside of there, and I'm thinking that looks like maybe the dome from a Dalek episode. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Genesis of the Daleks. But I know the Daleks are probably going to be in the New Year's special, probably if we do get one this year, or Christmas special, New Year's, whatever, for 2021, or maybe the Christmas special. I don't know, but yeah. And then there's another lovely shot where she's in the TARDIS and she says, "Something's coming for me." And I love that shot. I love that line. I love that shot because TARDIS actually looks really good. I'm not a fan of the interior TARDIS with Jodie, unfortunately. I think it's one of the weakest ones probably of the whole show. 56-year run, which is depressing. I love the fact that it's all blue and dark and that like almost reflecting her sort of like scared darker or scared vulnerable side, and then she kind of, I think then there's a bit where she gets a bit more angry. That definitely could be part of the story arc, a lot of people are saying. There's then a shot of like a thing trying to get through the TARDIS, which blew me away because I remember back in the day the Eccleston stories and episodes, Bad Wolf Parting of the Ways, which I've watched a phenomenal, insane amount, more than any human should watch that two-parter. And he says in that that series, or that two-parter at least, there's some point in series 1 Eccleston's Doctor says something like, not even the the creatures of Genghis Khan or whatever, or serpents of whatever else can even get through those doors, and you're like, wait, but they're just wooden doors. But then it like dawns on you like it's this intergalactic spaceship, like shit. Like, yeah, sure, exterior wise they're just plain wooden doors, but interior wise there's shit working on those doors, so you are completely safe. So it makes me then think, what the shit is that thing coming through the door, and it's red and it's shape shiftering and that, and there's a bit where Ryan and Graham and I think Yaz are in a car, and they're like zhuzhing backwards, and they're like ah, and that reminded me of Planet of the Dead for some reason, maybe just because that's mainly set in a motorway or on a motorway. Then it cuts to a scene where Graham seems to be hooked up to a lot of devices, and that which might be linked to the neural pathways of the TARDIS, so trying to extract information from him, maybe, from what he's seen, what he doesn't remember seeing, maybe, Cyberman, Judoon, Sycorax, maybe. And then there are two really interesting new villains and or monster creatures that look really interesting, which I'm glad there still is new stuff, as well as just they didn't just say, oh, let's just read all of the back catalogue, whether it be Russell stuff or further back, and then that's it, just call it a day. They did what they did. Well, one of the things they did in Series 11, they kind of brought it back but toned it down, which is good, and that maybe there's going to be more of a healthier balance between the new monsters and the old ones. Because a criticism of the Moffat era was that was very much all just old monsters. But yeah, basically the two other monsters that I can think of that I really like are the gas masky guys or creatures or whatever with these like futuristic weapons that started shooting at them, as well as these like eerie, like weird people with like this sort of outline silhouette white people. Sounds really bad, does that? But like there's this white shimmery energy thing pulsating through them sort of thing. And in my head it made me immediately think of the weird creatures from Invasion of Time. The foil creatures, I don't know why. Someone else, I think Crispy Pro said maybe Sea Devils, but it's always Sea Devils, everyone always says. They look like people with weird hats, which then I immediately said, I was like, oh shit, Time Lords, because I'm pretty sure it was either Russell or Moffat, or maybe even both of them, definitely have always said, when referring to the Time Lords, that they've got weird, stupidly weird hats. I mean, even clearly Moffat definitely said it, because there are even episodes in the Capaldi era where he says stuff like, "Oh yeah, my people, the ones with the weird hats," or with the the weird capes or the terrible fashion sense. So maybe it's the Time Lords. I don't know. Highly unlikely, but maybe. We know they're in the universe of sorts after Hellbent. What else? Yeah, and then the Cyberman even, which looks like a battle damaged amalgamation of all these different Cybermen. Nightmare and Silver Cyberman, Lumic sort of head with this weird like extending outy bit for a jaw, which looks a bit odd to me, but very sort of decrepit and battle damaged and that gives me vibes of Resolution almost. Maybe this is just a one-off Cyberman on its own, which oddly enough I don't think we've had, which is weird because we've had Dalek, we've had Into the Dalek, now we've had Resolution. We've had 3 Dalek stories where it's just been one Dalek. It'd be really cool if this episode is that sort of Dalek, but for the Cyberman. Maybe it could just be called Cyberman. I don't know. Maybe it's the one Cyberman that survived Capaldi's escapades on that ship. And when that ship blew up or whatever, or that floor blew up, maybe it teleported to somewhere on Earth. I don't know. There's a bit where there's a giant ship that Crispy Pro in his video definitely thinks that it's a Jadoon ship. It could be, it could not be, but there's a laser and that's firing obviously on the UK, as to be expected. There's a bit with like a giant scorpion thing that's like running around, and that it just looks insane. Like, I'd probably say that about every trailer for Doctor Who, but this one really does look pretty insane. Like, they've really stepped up the game. Granted, Series 11 wasn't great, and it wasn't terrible. It wasn't, for me personally, to give you a brief summary of what I thought of Series 11 very briefly, I just thought it was okay. It was vanilla. It was nowhere near as bad as I think most people say, but I don't think it's as good as some other people might say. Like, I think the annoying thing is with having a woman and or Jodie be the first female Doctor, if you don't sing the praises of the series, you're immediately sexist and misogynistic. And then that drives those people to be more extremely negative about all that era and all of it. And then vice versa for the people who just are like, oh yeah, SJW, or the, left-wing people and the people who are just like, yeah, women and every diversity type person should be in this show and everything and blah, blah, blah. Whereas I'm just like, in the middle, I'm just like, I just want good stories, that's it. Like, if it means not having a female companion or a female side character, fine. If it does, awesome. If it's a good story and it has a robot transgendered fucking toaster, I don't care. As long as it's a good story, that's literally all I care about. But yeah, the Series 12 trailer dropped back on the 23rd of November 2019, and yeah, I'd love to hear what you think about that trailer in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, comment, rate and subscribe.